Hi everyone, I'm here with Dr. Manawi, a clinical psychologist who's been in the field for over 20 years. He's been on television shows and has helped many countless patients out. And he's had various experience in other areas of behavioral science and behavioral health as well. So today I wanted to ask him, since I know many of the medical students out there and many other graduate students out there are really stressed out, I wanted to ask him what are his tips for dealing with stress, anxiety, and depression. So, Dr. Manawi, could you give us some tips, please?
Okay. Which one do you want to start with? Stress?
I guess stress first, and then we'll work up to anxiety and depression.
Interesting. Stress. How stressful is it to be in medical school?
I think, well, it depends on people's perceptions of stress, but I think most students are pretty stressed out in general.
How stressed is it? How stressful is it to get into medical school? To be accepted into medical school?
I guess at each point you perceive that moment to be the most stressful, but then it keeps getting, the demands get higher, and then maybe your relative amount of stress is the same.
Okay, so it is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, however, it's in a prolonged period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to take a look at stress as a string.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because from day one, when you got into medical school, you are in a point of a semi-stress or a state of semi-stress.
Mm-hmm.
You're not totally stressed, but you're not relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so semi-stress is like you have a thread that's with a very little give to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything that will happen, what happens to that thread?
It gets tight.
It gets tight, and the tighter it gets, the more of a chance that it will snap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the point of that snapping is what we call fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
The state of fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you know about all the medical. Well, you know about all the chemicals that goes in there when you get to that point. So, if you're really on a semi-stress day in and day out, day in and day out, and you feel like it's okay, it's not okay, because if you have the stress, you're affecting each and every organ of your body. You're affecting your lifestyle, you're affecting your mental capacity and mental ability, not just capacity but ability as well, which in turn is going to affect your ability to intake information and put out information, which is going to affect your performance, and then that's when you go down. Okay. From day one, you need to be able to structure. Structure is very important for stress management. Having time for yourself is very important in stress management. I know in medical school you don't have any time for yourself or for anything else. You'd be lucky if you get 2 hours sleep. That's what I heard. I haven't been in medical school. Is that true?
It depends on certain times, like near exams, or especially like in your clinical years. Like if you're on surgery rotation or something, and you're in the hospital for, let's say, like 12 hours or something. Some days, I've heard one of my classmates had a day where he was in the hospital for 17 hours.
Okay.
So you're not going to have a lot of
so that's
time
high stress.
Yeah.
So if you are already at your wit's end with it, and you have a high stress situation, what's going to happen?
It's gonna snap.
You're going to snap. Okay. So you have to be able to do that. There are other things that we usually say is, these are things that anybody could do it. Breathing techniques. It affects a reduction of stress. Visualization and having imagination. It affects your reduction. It actually helps, not affects. It helps. All of this helps your stress reduction.
So breathing techniques, imagination?
Breathing techniques in a way that, how do we breathe? Because most of us breathe incorrectly. And we breathe in a way that we don't have enough oxygen going in our bloodstream, and in turn we don't have enough oxygen going here, and in turn everywhere, and our stress shoots up. Okay, so if I have that, is that right?
I think it's shallow, right?
It's very shallow. You need 90 psi, pounds of pressure of oxygen in your blood. Okay, can you breathe 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes before you go to sleep, just correctly, like 5 minutes? Do it 10 times.
So is there a certain count for that, or just doing deep breaths?
4, in your stomach,
Mm-hmm.
4 in your chest, hold it 4, and let it all out. So it will go like that. If you do this every morning and every night, you'll feel the difference.
So you said do it about 10 times?
10 times in the morning, 10 times at night.
And was it, so 4 through stomach, 4 in your chest, hold 4, and then breathe out? Is there a time for breathing out?
No, you let it all breathe out until you feel your chest is flat.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have anything in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you breathe through your nostrils
Mm-hmm.
to your stomach,
Mm-hmm.
you kick it up to the chest,
Mm-hmm.
and you hold it, and you let it all out from the mouth.
Okay.
Okay.
And then imagination?
Imagination or visualization. Usually I do them both at once.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm relaxing and I'm breathing,
Mm-hmm.
close my eyes and imagine. If you like water, imagine you're in water. If you like green, imagine you're in a field. If you like mountains, imagine you're in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And just totally relax.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We don't look at that now, but we need to get back to that. This is what I call the basics, the ABC of stress management. Okay?
How long would that be, by the way?
The whole episode shouldn't take more than 10 minutes.
So do the 10 breaths in the morning and then 10 minutes of kind of that meditation with visualization?
Yes. You can do it laying down in your bed.
Yeah.
Before you even, I call it out of body
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I lift my body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm just out of it. And it does relax. The food that you eat, it could actually increase your stress or decrease your stress. We eat a lot of, if you eat a lot of meat, you need to reduce your meat intake.
Mm-hmm.
You need to reduce your sugar intake.
Mm-hmm.
You need to reduce your coffee intake. You need to reduce your carbs intake.
Mm-hmm.
Eat a lot of beans. Increase your beans intake. Increase your salads. Increase your fiber. That reduces your stress.
So eat a lot of plants, maybe beans, cut back on meats and carbs, sugars, and coffee.
And coffee.
Okay.
Yep, especially coffee.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us who drink coffee and we say, it's decaffeinated. Even decaffeinated coffee, the problem of the coffee is not the coffee bean. It's the oil in the coffee bean. It's not the caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can drink a lot of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Tea has more caffeine than coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And if you drink a lot of tea, tea is diuretic. It goes through your
Mm-hmm.
digestive system and it comes out.
Yeah.
Right? Coffee goes to the nervous system
Mm-hmm.
right away. It clenches. Not the caffeine, but the oil in the coffee bean. That's why if you stop drinking coffee, you're going to have the withdrawal symptoms
Mm-hmm.
of just like cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the coffee bean, it's not the coffee. I mean, it's not the caffeine.
So would caffeine pills be okay then? Because I know, like, especially in your clinical years or when you do residency and you're in the hospital working like crazy long hours, usually med students and resident doctors, they start drinking coffee all the time to just stay awake. So
Yeah.
would you recommend having caffeine pills then instead, or?
Is it natural?
I think so, yeah. They're
I'm not talking about the caffeine pills. Is it natural to stay awake for 24 hours?
No, but sometimes they
But
ask
you
you
need
to. though. Yeah.
Okay, and this is the stress that we're talking about a few minutes ago.
Mhm.
You know, that the life that we live right now, it's not the same life that we lived years and years ago.
Mhm.
And the demands that you put on yourself now, sometimes it's unbelievable.
Mhm.
So if you really have to do it,
Mhm.
I guess you have to do it, but
Mhm.
something is going to give.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So is that safe to take the caffeine pill? I know a lot of people do it.
Mhm.
A lot of students do it.
Yeah.
To stay up all night, and you know they have exams and they have all of that, and they end up taking the caffeine pills.
Mhm.
Is it safe? I can't tell you it's 100% safe.
Mhm.
But if you do it once or twice, I guess it's okay.
Okay, so the deep breathing, the visualization, changing your diet, is there anything else? Or
Exercising.
exercise? Is there certain types you recommend or certain amount, like minutes per week or?
At least whenever you start your exercise, at least the first 20 minutes, add 10 minutes to it. So at least half an hour.
Okay.
Because it takes about 20 minutes, give or take a minute or two, for the endorphin system to start pumping what you need in your body to pump to relax.
Okay.
Okay. So 20 minutes and then 10 minutes. So it's half an hour, at least half an hour. Whether you want to do brisk walk in the morning, which I would recommend more than the evening because the air is still clean, it doesn't have any of the pollution or anything. It's actually good for you. Half an hour, whether it's jogging, whether it's walking, brisk walk, workout. I don't mean like pumping iron, weights and stuff like that. I'm talking about cardio. That's what reduces.
So cardio over weights would be better for anxiety and stress?
That's what I think.
Does that cover most of the tips you recommend?
And your diet change.
Visualization, deep breathing.
And one more thing before any of this stuff. Your perception of what's coming at you. You can psych yourself up to be stressed out or do the opposite. Okay? A lot of us are hyped and just waiting. It's almost like you're in a ring and you're getting ready to fight somebody. You need to take it back a step mentally and relax walking in. So it has a lot to do, this is before anything, it has a lot to do with the way you perceive what's coming at you. Because there is nothing that you cannot handle. Okay? That's all negative. There's nothing that you cannot handle. So push that to the positive, flip it to the positive, that coin. That means you can handle anything that's coming at you, given the fact that you are open to take it in, slowly.
So the perceptual shift before and then all those other tips you mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, and so does that apply for anxiety and depression as well? Or are there any specific tips for those anxiety and depression as well?
Well, and anxiety has a lot to do with the stress. It begins with the stress.
Yeah.
And then that goes into...
It's kind of with the more of the tension and that break.
And then an anxiety, and then it goes, if it's not, if you don't do anything about it, it goes into what? The phobias and panics and all of that stuff. So, and again, if you being proactive about it as opposed to reactive, proactive meaning that I'm preparing myself correctly, I'm moving forward with a plan, then the anxiety is not going to kick in. However, you have to face your fear because anxiety is related to your fear, whatever you're afraid of. Okay, and when I'm talking about fear, I'm not talking about fear of darkness or fear of roaches or fear of this kind of stuff, or flies or spider or anything. No, I'm talking about your inner fear, your most inner fear. There are three of them. Fear of failing, meaning that being ridiculed or somebody making fun of you, or embarrassed. That's fear of failing, all of that. That's one type. The other type is fear of loneliness, meaning that you are afraid of losing people that you're really connected to and you love and you care about, or fear of being alone, or fear of them leaving you, so fear of loneliness. And the third one is fear of the unknown. That's why a lot of us are after control. I have to be control, I have to be control, because we're afraid of the unknown. You have to face your fears, because if you don't, you will end up with the anxiety disorder. Okay, and most of us don't even know what we're afraid of. So that's for an anxiety. Pills. I know a lot of people on anti-anxiety for years and years and years, and they're still anxious. Pill is not going to help you deal with that anxiety. Okay? You're identifying your fear and dealing with it, that's what's going to help with that anxiety. Okay? Sometimes you need the pill, to calm down and be able to carry on. And I understand that. And that's very important, because if you don't take your pill, you just have a racing thoughts, have everything, so you're not going to be able to do it. So
Yeah.
if you're on medication, that's fine. Keep taking the medication, but with that, with that, face your fear.
Okay, so you have to get to the underlying root, maybe with that clinical psychologist.
That's what needs to happen. That's why we always say medication and counseling, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Medication and therapy, they go hand in hand. And I hope that if this is really anybody suffering from anxiety, that's what they need to do, because the pill is not going to do the magic. It's not going to do the trick.
Yeah.
Same thing with the depression. Depression, the base of depression is sadness and disappointment. You're sad and disappointed, sad and disappointed, sad and disappointed. Time in, time out, time in, time out, time and time again. Then you end up being depressed. Once you're depressed, you say, oh God, now I have to go and see a psychiatrist. I need to get a pill. The pill isn't going to take the depression away. It's going to give you a boost. You need to do the counseling and the therapy beside that. So it's not a magic pill. And anxiety and depression are actually amplified by stress. So your key here is what? Stress management.
So those things you mentioned preemptively, take medications with a psychiatrist to get your feelings under control for the moment, see a clinical psychologist or some counselor to work through like the underlying causes of your issue, and do those kind of relaxation exercises to help you either preemptively stave off like stress and anxiety or depression.
That is true, but with depression, actually, there are two types of depression. That's the depression which is situational depression or clinical depression. Situational depression is brought upon by the situation that you're in, whether it's a loss of somebody that you love, or somebody got in an accident, or whatever.
So you can't really prevent that.
So yeah, but this is situational depression. Clinical depression is different. Clinical depression is that imbalance that you have, and that you have to have medication for to balance the chemicals. Because prolonged situational depression turns into what? Clinical.
So guys, hope that helped you out. Thank you again, Dr. El-Manawi, for those tips. Again, comment down below if you have any questions for Dr. Manawi. If you're struggling with any of these situations and you'd want more help maybe, or you have any other questions regarding any of these topics that we discussed, like stress, anxiety, or depression, and I'll ask Dr. Manawi and comment back to you guys. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and have a good rest of your day.